Cut out the jibber jabber. Don't be babbling like a fool. Say what you got to say. That's all. Then shut your dang pie hole.
Well, folks, welcome back to the Prepared Mind channel. This is Zero Dark 30, and I'm going to ask a big favor. Thumbs up this video. I'm going to ask another favor. Share this video. It's going to be on YouTube as well. I typically talk about weird shit that's going on, SHTF events, right? But there's been something been nagging at me for a little while now, nagging at me, and I just thought, it's just time to go down the rabbit hole. Time to cross that checkerboard floor. Time to ask some questions. There's some, we'll call it some weird ass next level deepness. Well, Mr. Skylight sent me a message, and he brought up a Joseph Tittle, who is a supposed time traveler. And it's like, dang it, man. This has been bugging me for like 3 weeks now. 3 weeks I've been waking up even earlier than normal because something is just chiseling away at my thought, just wanting to get my attention. And what it is it's like, I don't know, we've seen pictures of spiral galaxies, right? And then there's also pictures where one galaxy is colliding with another. They're just kind of crossing into each other, slicing into each other when worlds collide. And I have that thought in my mind of parallel universes hitting each other, and the reality and the supposed realities that we live in. So I'll just throw this out there. Do we live in a simulation, or do we live in reality? Or do we live in a reality that is subject to some very interesting laws of physics that we're just not privy to until we experience them? And then we may not even understand the laws, the same way the dog or the cat doesn't understand how the master gets food out of a can. Where did that food come from? They don't know. They just know that there's food. How did the lid come off of it? The dog can't figure it out, but they sure are happy it did. Well, I got up after, again, spending a couple of hours of precious sleep time instead studying. And there it was, just staring me in the face. Another idiotic story about idiotic people in colleges. And this word kept coming into my mind. These people are morbidly and grotesquely retarded. Yet they're in government institutions, college institutions, but they are grotesquely and morbidly retarded. They are not intellectuals. They aren't even educated. They're complete mushrooms, having lived off of shit, literal shit fed to them while they live in the dark. They are without the light, without truth, without fact, without substance. Mushroom looks like it has substance, but when pressed, they're very light, and they're easily smushed flat. There's nothing to them. There's no substance. So this article I read, which was very disturbing, was that a student in an art class, which is supposed to be about expression, painting, an expression, a thought, a concept, an idea of the human mind. Art. Right? Nothing crazy, just art. So one student asks another a question about that student's religion. And when the student answers, the student that asked the question in the first place files a harassment lawsuit. It starts as an inquiry, an investigation by the college, and then it ends up in a fucking lawsuit. These people are grotesquely and morbidly retarded. And I thought, okay, We've heard stuff like this before. In fact, just prior to that story, I read another story, folks, about New Orleans. And someone has, as a Halloween decoration, a decapitated Jesus, which is causing quite an uproar. And I thought, well, that's not very nice. I don't think that Jesus would like that. But, you know, it's Halloween, and these people, if they want to do that, then that's up to them, as long as they're, you know, it's whatever. Fine. You're in New Orleans. You're already fucked in the head. Right, but I'm like, how can those two worlds exist? Where you can't even ask, you cannot even answer a question. You cannot even answer a question without being accused and sued for harassment. Wherein just across the country, in another realm, it would seem, you can have the most outlandish thing, an opinion, and express it through a Halloween or a holiday art called decoration, and have it be insulting and just absolutely awful. And it's fine. You know, I mean, a lot of people are upset about it, but it's not a violation of any law. Yet to have a thought in an educational institution is so offensive that it's harassment. Folks, this is the world we live in. I think that parallel universes are slicing through one another. And our world, the world of logic and reason, morality and conscience, is being, how do I put this? Is being poisoned. Absolutely poisoned. With the most, it's beyond decadent. It is just filth, right? The idea of drag queens being morally superior. Homosexuals having the keys to morality. What kind of world is that? Where did that world come from? Where self-mutilation is to be praised as kids just are encouraged by adults and then congratulate one another upon denying their own existence and mutilate and castrate themselves or present themselves as toys for the sexual abuses of their instructors, teachers, etc. That's why I'm like, this has got to be a parallel universe that is hitting ours and trying to destroy it, poisoning it, literally poisoning it with toxic concepts that are foreign, like a disease. Fuck, it's just unbelievable. So, several years ago, Hillary Clinton says these fabled words. What difference does it make now? And everyone was shocked and outraged, and rightly so, regarding the Benghazi incident, where the decisions of the government caused an incredible tragedy to occur. People being killed, riots, right? Decision made to send arms to Al-Qaeda. Remember when Al-Qaeda was our enemy, then they became our ally, and we had to get them weapons in Syria? It was like, what plant, right? This whole thing went crazy. Absolutely crazy. As if two separate, distinct universes were smashed together in a big universe sandwich. And we got crazy-ass Hillary saying shit like, what difference does it make now? It's like, yeah, what difference does it make now? Well, when a murder occurs, there's a difference. When negligence and incompetence results in damage to persons or property, it needs to be settled, disputed, figured out. That's what happens. It makes a big fucking difference, Hillary, you dumb bitch. Now, Then she goes on TV, the same Hillary Clinton, and says, there are limits to free speech. And she's not talking about you aren't allowed to scream fire in a crowded room unless there's actually a fire. Right? They mean you can't talk. And here we are today with a student who has a religious belief system. Expressing that through art is asked a question, and when finally a response is provided, they end up getting in trouble and sued in a lawsuit over it. Now, even if my interpretation of events here is off a degree or two, because of the outrage that was in my mind, not an emotional outrage, folks, not an emotional outrage, an intellectual outrage. Because there is no intellect in these people who are grotesquely retarded. So, the epoch. No, it's not an epoch. The era. There we go. Let's go with the era. The era of the early 1900s. I like the sound of that. Epoch sounds much more cool, but it doesn't quite fit. The era of the early 1900s. The rise of communism finally finds root. It finds ground in which to root and to grow in Russia, and the Soviet Union is born. The death of thousands, and then millions, and then ultimately over the decades, tens of millions of people slaughtered, murdered, executed, imprisoned, killed, denied life over a political concept of government is all, government owns all, government is God, literally. And all manner of culture, tradition, morality, decency, family, life is reset to what the state says it is. Communism is finally born, and millions and millions and millions and millions, folks, die. Communism, a form of socialism, finds root in other places. In Nazi fascism, which is socialism. In Chinese communism under Mao, over 100 million people are a direct consequence, a death consequence, as a result of the existence of these things. Well, fascism under the Nazis was not killed, it did not die. Soviet communism ended in the early 1990s. And Chinese communism merged with fascism. Chinese communism merged with fascism. The pupil. It's a They wish for communism. These very same students, folks, what planet are they from? Is a common question. But I don't think it's a planet. No, it's not a planet. It's a different universe altogether. It is a completely different universe. And I think there are time travelers here. I'm not crazy. I'm not the lunatic. But you have to consider the idea based on, well, the evidence. As weak as the evidence is for things like time travel and parallel universes, as weak as the evidence is, look how strong the evidence is when it comes to the behavior of human beings. What lunatic would want to teach children to destroy themselves? What escapee from an insane asylum would push on the world the concept that homosexuality and rampant perversion is good and is moral and is superior intellectually? All of these things that we talk about that are bringing down our culture, our traditions, our law, the Constitution, its foundation, the Declaration of Independence, and the Holy Bible. Where do they come from if it is not a parallel universe? A universe where evil is worshipped and all that is wrong is said to be right. How can that place even exist under the complete and total lack of intelligent thought? The insanity that must exist in that world where Hillary Clinton is a stalwart leader and intellect. What kind of world is that? But they're here now, folks. They're here in our world now, in our universe, in our dimension. They've taken seats of power in Washington, in Europe, around the world, and they're pushing those great lies upon us. And they're afraid of people like you, because you are in your right mind. You're not suffering delusion. The Mandela effect, right, is just another bit of evidence that says, hey, things aren't quite right. Why do we remember things differently? As if there are two or more parallel universes slamming into each other, wrecking one another. Will they continue to move and roll past each other? And our world of sanity would be restored after they pass through each other, like two playing cards just slicing through one another? Will we return to logical thinking? And will that bizarro world that passed through ours, which is trying to destroy us, will it return to bizarro world where they're like, what was that other place where people use their brains? How odd was that? Head scratcher indeed. But for us now, in this time, in this place, in this world where we're at, yeah, it's 0 dark 30. It's freaking dark, is it not? The darkness is all around us. Are you looking for the light, the word, the knowledge, the intelligence? Or are you willing to let yourself be led through the dark by these very dark souls? Just a question. This is why we're preppers, because we see what they're doing to us. We see what they're doing to this world and trying to do, what they're wanting to make permanent. They want to infect our universe with their illness, their disease, their poison, and make it stay that way. A living hell. I say no. No, my faith, my belief, my wish, my desire for freedom, liberty, and all that is good and decent. Let us make our mistakes, yes, and then learn from them. Not to be pushed in a world of darkness and perversion and filth, and then told that's normal. While they literally tell us, you normies, you heterosexuals, right? You cisgendered people are awful. Are you out of your fucking minds? Is what I want to ask them. But I know the answer. The answer is yes, they are. They're not from here. They are aliens to us. They're foreign to us. Yet here they are. They vote, they live, they consume, they destroy. They're like locusts. Good God, folks. I just wanted to take you on this little journey, little discussion. You could call it sci-fi, if you wish. You can call it exaggeration, if you wish. You could call it a narrow perspective, if you wish. But I ask you to compare it to the world that you used to live in and ask yourself, how far off am I? And should you consider such things? And what should you do about it? And I say, chance favors the prepared mind is yours.